Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to break down for you guys a basic fitness program. I've had a lot of people point out that my standards are very high. A lot of what I put out is specifically for athletes and maybe not as helpful to the general population who are not trying to get into extreme shape, extreme levels of strength, and who are very, very busy and they don't have a lot of time for the gym. So I'm going to break down for you guys a basic program that someone could follow for life who maybe works a 50-hour-a-week job, has a couple of children, but they want to gain muscle, they want to tone up, they want to improve their fitness, bone density, metabolism, all of those things that come with strength training, but they don't have a lot of time. So what is the most efficient use of their time? And I've put together a program for you guys that's going to be 2 45-minute sessions per week. Now, what you're going to have for this program, and most gyms will have this, some gyms won't, but this is also good for a home setup. What you're going to need is a basic power rack or a squat rack and a bench press setup, but preferably a power rack so that you can do these lifts safely. You're going to need, obviously, a bench, and if you don't have a bench and you're doing it at home, you can use floor presses. You're probably going to need some light dumbbells for the start or some sort of lighter starter Olympic bar, and you're going to need a full Olympic set, which is a bar and plates. Not a standard set because a lot of people are going to get too strong to use that. They're going to end up breaking the bar once they've been doing this for 6 months or so. All right, up front, let's make it perfectly clear that if you are not flexible enough and mobile enough to do these basic lifts, what I would rather see a person do is spend 1 full month before they go into this program doing daily stretching, mobility work, body weight squats, third world squats. You can look all this stuff up. A lot of ab work, a lot of crunches, and then things like band pull aparts and shoulder dislocates with a band, things like that. They need to work on their mobility and their flexibility and their core. And once that is down, they can begin the program. Now, the program itself is going to be 2 days a week. I don't care which 2 days, as long as you have them at least 3 days apart. And if you happen to miss a day, you can usually jump right back in where you left off, and it should be okay most of the time. Okay, this program is going to consist of 6 basic lifts, and I'm going to break them down for you. The first lift that I want you to do is the barbell squat. That means a barbell back squat, and I want people to do what's called a high bar or an Olympic squat, which means the bar is set fairly high up on your traps and shoulders. You don't have it way down your back. And I want your feet shoulder width apart and your toes facing forward, not pointed out. So a basic high bar squat, and this should be done to parallel, or what we call ass to grass, or ATG for short. The next lift you will do will be the bench press. And by bench press, I mean I want you to do a pause bench, which means I want your hands inside the rings. Your pinkies can be on the rings, but I do not want a super wide grip. You tuck your elbows and you come down and you touch your chest just below the nipple line. You pause for a 1 count and you drive it straight up while staying flat on the bench. So a basic barbell bench press, done with a pause. I do not want the bar bouncing or a touch and go, and again, you can look that up. The next lift will be the deadlift, and this will be a conventional deadlift. The fourth lift you will do will be a standing overhead press. Now, a lot of people are not going to be able to start with an Olympic bar, especially women. It might take them months before they can do an Olympic bar for overhead. So until they can, you can try to find one of those lighter 10-kilo starter bars, or you can use light dumbbells and clean them up to your shoulders and do overhead presses with them. And once you're strong enough to go to the Olympic bar, you can go to the Olympic bar. But once you go to the Olympic bar, I want this to be done with a pause on the chest. I want you to use a false grip with your elbows racked back and elbows in tight at the bottom. I don't want a wide grip. I want it all the way in here, shoulder width grip, pause on the chest, and drive up. And remember, the grip and the pause on the chest is very important if you just want complete upper body development for this program to balance out. The next lift that I want done is chin-ups. Now, we're going to have to do the chin-ups a little different from other lifts because most people are not going to be strong enough to do 5 to 8 chin-ups for quite a long time once they start training. So for a person who isn't strong enough, I want them to do what we call just negative chin-ups. And that means you can take your workout bench that you work on and bring it over to the chin-up bar, use it to stand up on to pull yourself up to the bar, and just lift your legs out from under you and lower yourself for the negative part. And then climb back up on the bench, grip the bar, and just lower yourself under control. And if you do 3 to 5 of those every session, particularly for people who are losing a little bit of weight, over time, over the course of several months, you will eventually get strong enough to do 5 chin-ups. And once you're strong enough to do 5 chin-ups, you can work them into the program the correct way using just body weight, and eventually start hanging small plates off of a chain around your waist. Now, what I also want everyone to do at the end of each of these workouts is select some type of ab exercise to do afterwards, whether it's crunches, weighted crunches, some sort of ab machine at your gym if you have, or even planks, or eventually weighted planks. But I want you to do some sort of core work and some sort of ab work at the end of your workout every time. Just one set. It can be fairly high reps. Just pick something and do it. It doesn't have to be that specific. And if you want to work your abs and do crunches on your off days, feel free to do so. Because the stronger that your core is, the more it will carry over to some of those bigger lifts like the squat and the deadlift. Now, as far as the progression goes on this, warm-up sets are going to vary depending upon strength level. If you are only strong enough to do the bar, you're going to have to just do some basic body weight movements to warm up and just go straight to the bar. But once you've gotten to the point where you're using substantially more than the bar, you'll add in the warm-up sets that I prescribe here. So what I would like to see on the squat, the bench press, and the deadlift, I want 2 warm-up sets when you come in. I want one at 25% of what you're going to work with for a weight, and I want the next one at 50% of what you're going to work with for the weight. And then you go right to your work set, and you're going to need about a minute between each warm-up before you go into it. So it should take you about 3 minutes to 4 minutes to do your actual squat work, your bench press work, your deadlift work. Now for the overhead press, you only need 1 warm-up set, 50% of what you can overhead press. And if you can not do much more than the bar, then I want 1 set done with the empty bar. And then I want your work set done afterwards. Now, all the warm-up sets are going to be 5 reps. So you're going to end up doing 2 5-rep warm-ups for the big lifts and 1 5-rep warm-up for the overhead press. The chin-ups, obviously, you're not going to need a warm-up because you're already warm from doing the other movements by then. So how do we determine the weights we're going to use? What I would like for you to do is for everyone to start with a weight. Once you come in and test yourself, get a good idea, test yourself the first day, and you need to approximate a weight that you can do for about 8 reps and for it to be close to failure. So come in and just test your basic strength on all of these lifts, or a weight that you can handle comfortably. And don't worry if you get it right or wrong, because eventually after you've been training for 2 or 3 months, the weights are going to stabilize to where you're going to be working with the appropriate weight. And you'll find out why when I get to the progression of how that's going to work. Okay, so this is going to work on a 4 workout rotation. So approximately every 2 weeks, if you don't miss a workout, you're going to end up adding weight and restarting. So workout 1, you're going to do 5 reps with all the lifts, again, barring the chin-ups, because you're probably not going to be strong enough for a long time. And this needs to be 5 reps completed with proper range of motion, proper form. If you fail to complete a rep, a spotter has to help you, you can't control the weight, or your form just breaks down horribly, you're using too much weight for someone at your experience level, and you're going to need to reduce the weight. For men, if that happens, I want you to reduce the weight by 5 pounds. And for women, if that happens, I want you to reduce it by 2.5 pounds. So women are going to need to buy some little cheap micro plates to bring with them to the gym if they don't own their own equipment. But workout 1 is 5 reps. Workout 2 is 6 reps. Workout 3 is 7 reps. And workout 4 will be 8 reps. So you go 5, 6, 7, 8 on all the lifts. Once you've completed all of those workouts, For men, you will add 5 pounds for the next 4 workouts. For women, you will add 2.5 pounds to each lift for the next 4 workouts. And even that will apply to chin-ups once you're strong enough to do them weighted. And you repeat the cycle, and you repeat this cycle indefinitely. You can repeat this for years until you get to a point to where you are comfortable with your body, you have the amount of muscle you want, you have the amount of strength that you want that you will be happy with for the rest of your life. And if you're happy with where you're at, then don't increase the weight again. Just work somewhere between the 5 and 8 reps, whatever you're comfortable with that day, and continue using the same weight. You can do this forever. Now, I want to reiterate that because this works in cycles and you're always increasing either the reps or the weight, when you reach a point to where you fail or you cannot handle the weight with good technique, for any given scenario, you drop the weight by 5 pounds for men, 2.5 for women. And what that means is that you just work it into your cycle of your doing. Let's say you did 5 reps okay with 100 pounds on the bench press. But then you go to do the next workout of 6 and you can't get the 6. Something goes wrong. That means I want you to drop to 95 pounds. So when you get to workout 3, you'll do 95 pounds for 7 reps. And then when you get to workout 4, you'll do 95 pounds for 8 reps. And then when you restart the cycle and you go to workout 1 again, you will go back to 100 pounds and try it again. And the reason behind this is because recovery and strength gains work on an undulating pattern sometimes. They don't always just go straight up. And if that happens, then you're going to need to let your body adapt again with a slightly lower weight and then try to increase it again. And there you have it, a basic routine that virtually anyone in decent health can do who doesn't have a lot of free time, who doesn't have extreme goals, and it will give you the absolute most effect and benefits that you can get for every minute that you spend in the gym. This is a very efficient routine. Alright guys, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you next time.